Hello, and a warm welcome to our Bible study. Today, we're diving into a beautiful passage from the Gospel of Mark, chapter 5, verses 21 through 43. This story is a powerful testament to the nature of faith and the compassion of Jesus. It masterfully weaves together two incredible miracles: the healing of a woman who had been suffering for 12 long years and the raising of a young girl from death. Both stories show us that no situation is too desperate and no person is too insignificant for Jesus. Faith, even a small, trembling touch of it, can connect us to the divine power of God. So let's open our hearts and minds as we explore this profound scripture together. We begin in Mark chapter 5, starting at verse 21. Jesus has just crossed the Sea of Galilee again. And as soon as he steps out of the boat, a large crowd gathers around him. Imagine the scene. The press of people, the noise, the anticipation. Out of this crowd steps a man named Jairus. He wasn't just anyone. He was a ruler of the synagogue, a respected religious leader. But at this moment, his status meant nothing compared to his desperation as a father. He falls at Jesus' feet, a powerful act of humility and submission, and pleads with him. His little daughter is dying, and he believes with all his heart that if Jesus will just come and lay his hands on her, she will be healed and live. This is a bold faith, born from a father's love and a deep sense of need. Let us read verses 21 to 24. When Jesus had again crossed over by boat to the other side of the lake, a large crowd gathered around him while he was by the lake. Then one of the synagogue leaders named Jairus came, and when he saw Jesus, he fell at his feet. He pleaded earnestly with him, "My little daughter is dying. Please come and put your hands on her so that she will be healed and live." So Jesus went with him. As Jesus makes his way through the throng with Jairus, our story takes a sudden dramatic turn. In the middle of that very same crowd is a woman who has been suffering for 12 years. For 12 years, she has had an issue of bleeding. This condition not only caused physical pain but also made her ceremonially unclean, according to Jewish law. This meant she was isolated from her community, unable to participate in temple worship, and likely treated as an outcast. The scripture tells us she had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all the money she had, only to get worse. She was destitute, desperate, and alone. But she had heard about Jesus. A tiny spark of hope ignited within her. She thought to herself, "If I can just touch his clothes, I will be healed." This wasn't a casual thought. It was an act of pure, desperate faith. She fought her way through the crowd, reached out her hand, and touched the hem of his garment. And in that very instant, the bleeding stopped. She felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Let us read verses 25 to 29. And a woman was there who had been subject to bleeding for 12 years. She had suffered a great deal under the care of many doctors and had spent all she had. Yet instead of getting better, she grew worse. When she heard about Jesus, she came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak, because she thought, "If I just touch his clothes, I will be healed." Immediately her bleeding stopped, and she felt in her body that she was freed from her suffering. Now, something incredible happens. Jesus, in the midst of this chaotic crowd, stops. He was fully aware that power had gone out from him. He turns and asks a question that must have seemed strange to everyone there. "Who touched my clothes?" His disciples, ever practical, point out the obvious. "See the people crowding against you," they say, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" They saw the physical press of the crowd, but Jesus felt the touch of faith. He was looking for the person whose need and belief had drawn upon his divine power. The woman, realizing she couldn't hide, came forward. She was trembling with fear, knowing she was unclean and had touched a holy teacher, but she fell at his feet and told him the whole truth. And what is Jesus' response? Not anger, not rebuke, but pure compassion. He calls her daughter a term of endearment and acceptance, restoring her to the community. He tells her, "Your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." He affirms that it was her faith that made the connection, not some magic in his clothing. Let us read verses 30 to 34. At once Jesus realized that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who touched my clothes?" "You see the people crowding against you," his disciples answered, "and yet you can ask, 'Who touched me?'" But Jesus kept looking around to see who had done it. Then the woman, knowing what had happened to her, came and fell at his feet, and trembling with fear, told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has healed you. Go in peace and be freed from your suffering." While this deeply personal and powerful moment is unfolding, you must remember Jairus. Can you imagine his anxiety? Every second that passed felt like an eternity. His daughter was on the brink of death. Just then, his worst fears are realized. Messengers arrive from his house with the most devastating news imaginable. Your daughter is dead. Why bother the teacher anymore? The light of hope was just extinguished. The situation had moved from critical to impossible. But before fear could take root in Jairus' heart, Jesus turns to him. Overhearing what they said, he speaks words of incredible power and comfort. Don't be afraid, just believe. In the face of death itself, Jesus calls for faith. He then takes control of the situation. He allows only Peter, James, and John to accompany him, along with the girl's parents. When they arrive at the house, they're met with chaos, wailing, crying, and the loud commotion of professional mourners. Jesus walks into this scene of despair and makes a statement that sounds utterly absurd to them. Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead, but asleep. They had just seen the body. They knew she was dead. Their grief turned to scorn, and they laughed at him. They saw death, but Jesus saw something else entirely. Let's read verses 35 to the first part of 40. While Jesus was still speaking, some people came from the house of Jairus, the synagogue leader. "Your daughter is dead," they said. "Why bother the teacher anymore?" Overhearing what they said, Jesus told him, "Don't be afraid, just believe." He did not let anyone follow him except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they came to the home of the synagogue leader, Jesus saw a commotion, with people crying and wailing loudly. He went in and said to them, "Why all this commotion and wailing? The child is not dead but asleep." But they laughed at him. Jesus now moves from words to action. He puts out the mockers, the doubters, and all the noise of unbelief. He transforms the room of public mourning into a sacred space of quiet faith. He takes only the girl, his father and mother, and his 3 trusted disciples into the room where the child lay. The atmosphere shifts from chaos to holy anticipation. Then, in an act of incredible tenderness and authority, he takes the little girl by the hand. He looks at her and speaks 2 simple words in Aramaic, Talitha kum, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." It's not a prayer or a request. It's a command. And instantly, the 12-year-old girl stands up and begins to walk around. The reaction is one of complete and utter astonishment. They are overcome with amazement. And what are Jesus' final instructions? First, a practical and caring one. Give her something to eat. She's not a ghost. She's a living, hungry girl. Second, he tells them not to tell anyone what had happened, perhaps to avoid a purely sensational response and allow his true mission to unfold. Let us read from the end of verse 42, verse 43. After he put them all out, he took the child's father and mother and the disciples who were with him, and went in where the child was. He took her by the hand and said to her, Talitha kum, which means, "Little girl, I say to you, get up." Immediately the girl stood up and began to walk around. She was 12 years old. At this they were completely astonished. He gave strict orders not to let anyone know about this, and told them to give her something to eat. In these 2 intertwined stories, we see the heart of Jesus revealed. He is never too busy to stop for the one who reaches out in faith, even a secret, trembling touch in a crowd. He cares for the outcast and restores her with dignity and love, and he is never too late. Even when all hope seems lost and death has claimed its victory, his word is final. For Jairus, faith was a journey from desperate pleading to facing the ultimate test, and finally to witnessing the impossible. For the woman, faith was a hidden act of courage that broke through years of suffering. Both show us that Jesus responds to faith, no matter how it's expressed. He meets us in our desperation and calls us to trust him, saying, "Don't be afraid. Just believe." I love reading your comments, so let me know how you love Jesus. I will pray for you every day. Search for Jesus at HaroldSwaney for the complete library of my Bible study videos. Thank you, and God bless.